Alright, so I got some starting issues with my GTS here. I put this battery in. It's a little guy. It's a Braille 15-pounder. I put it in about 2 years ago, and it's worked really great. But I let the car sit for probably 2 months, and these things, I don't think you're supposed to let them drain all the way down. After the 2 months, it was completely dead. If you want to see the original video of the install, I'll put the link up here so you can go to that video. So I did everything I could to it to hopefully not have to replace the battery, because these batteries are about 200 bucks to film in this video. So I took the terminals apart, I cleaned everything. I could do a voltage drop test, but I got a really good feeling that it was because I let it sit for too long. The other thing might be ground strap. A lot of times when you have a hard start condition, check your ground straps to make sure you have continuity between going from your engine to your body or your frame. Okay, so I drove this car last weekend to hopefully try and charge it up. I took it on like a 2-hour drive, and it wouldn't start. I had to jump it. So I'm gonna check. It's been sitting for about a week. I'm gonna check the voltage on it and see what it's at. So I got 11.9 volts. I'm gonna go ahead and put a battery charger on this. Alright, so I'm gonna put this C-Tech battery charger on there. C-Tech makes these really good battery chargers. If any battery charger can bring back this battery, it's gonna be this C-Tech. So I'll put this on there until we get 12.6 volts, and then I'll do some more testing. Okay, so the battery charger says it's at full charge, so go ahead and take this off. Alright, since this is done charging, I'm going to go ahead and turn the headlights on for a second and then turn it off just to get rid of any like surface charge and make sure we got a good battery. Alright, with my voltmeter set to voltage DC, I'm going to check and see what the volts are. We have 12.26. I'm going to try and start the engine and see what it does. The engine running, I'm going to check voltage. We got 14.3 volts. Okay, so when it was running, I was seeing it was kind of jumping around with the voltage. It should have been a pretty steady 14 volts. Now we're up to 12.4 volts. Just to double check this multimeter, I'm going to test it on my truck or something, make sure I'm not getting a bad reading. I have a Fluke, which is what I recommend for multimeters, but I don't have it here with me, so I'm going to double check this on a different car and make sure it's working properly. So one more test I'm going to do is I'm going to test and see if there's any kind of amp draw on this battery. This is a pretty good test to see if there's anything slowly draining your battery. On these cars, it's very common for the amplifier, for if you got the Mach 460 stereo, the amplifier and the bread tray that's above the back seat. There's an amplifier that goes across there. That thing goes bad on these all the time, but an easy way to check this is we're going to set this up to do amps. So we're going to move our red wire over to the amps, 10 amp. That's fused. I don't know if I blew the fuse on this one or not. We'll see. And I'm going to loosen my positive terminal. I'm going to set my voltmeter to 10 amps DC. Now when you're checking for amperage, this has to be in series. So it's 10 amp. This might have like a 20 amp fuse or 15 amp fuse in there. So you can't go above that. So when you do this, you want to make sure the car, this one is older, doesn't really have a whole lot that's going to keep draining power. But if you have a newer car, you want to lock the doors and let everything go to sleep. So before I would do this on a newer car, I would lock the door and let all the systems kind of go to sleep. I'd wait about maybe a minute or two just so that there's nothing on there draining the battery. So like I said, you want to do this in series. So I'm going to put one of these on the actual terminal of the battery and the other one on the clamp. And then as I remove the clamp from the terminal, it'll be in series, and I'll be able to see if there's anything draining it. Okay, so with it disconnected, I got 0.005 amp. So that's nothing. Nothing's draining that thing out of there. If you want anything less than like, 0.1 amp. If you start getting close to an amp, or even more than an amp, then you have a draw on there. So let's say you do have a draw on your battery. What you would do is you'd put some type of clamp to hold this onto the terminal, and then the positive onto the clamp while they're separated, and then start pulling fuses. And once when you pull a fuse, if the amperage drops, then whatever's sucking power is sucking it on that circuit. I'm still not convinced that it's not this battery. I'm going to take this battery out. All right, this should be my new battery. Okay, here's my new battery, part number B2015. Here's the old battery. I'm going to set it up to be the same. What's interesting is that this one's got a black case, and this one's got a gray case. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and set up the terminals the same way. Okay, before I get this thing completely hooked up, I'm going to check and see what the voltage is on it out of the box. So it's at about 12.3 volts. It should be good to start it. Now I connect the negative. Okay, now I'm going to start it and check the voltage one more time. Okay, well, the voltage is still jumping all around with this battery. I don't know if it's because it's an AGM or what the deal is, but okay. So I got my power probe here. This is a Matco hooked up. I'm going to check and see what this is saying for the voltage. This says 12.6. I'm going to start it up and see what it is when it's running. Okay, so the power probe was showing 14.3 volts steady. I'm going to put this tester on there and see what that says. Okay, so this is showing that it's a good battery with a charge of 98%. When I put it on the other battery, it was showing that it was low, needed a charge even right after it was fully charged. So I still believe that it was the battery. I'll go ahead and put this battery tester on the other battery and see what it's saying now. All right, back to the old battery here. Just to double check, I'm going to put this tester on there and see what it says. Yeah, so again, this one's saying that it's good, but it says recharge. It says it charges at 65%. Which this was on, and it's only saying it's got 275 cold cranking amps, whereas the new battery is showing 450 cold cranking amps. So with that, I believe that this battery is just, its ability to take a charge has gone away. Okay, so in conclusion here, I love this battery. I did not want to admit that the battery had gone bad. I love that it took, I think it was like 20 pounds off the nose of it, and it being that far forward, that's a big deal. I don't like putting the battery in the trunk because of the charging issues that it can cause. But if you have one of these batteries, you need to maintain it. And if you're going to park the car for over a month, I remember I had it parked for a month and it had no problems. But when I parked it for 2 months, when I went to start, it just wouldn't start, and then it wouldn't hold the charge. After that, it was even kind of difficult to jump sometimes. So my recommendation, I still like these. I got 2 years out of the first battery, and I think I could have gotten more out of it had I not let it sit for 2 months like I did. So if you have one of these, and I do like them, just make sure that you disconnect the negative, or put a trickle charger on there if you're going to let it sit for longer than probably like 3 to 4 weeks.